to the rules of hygiene, hours of rest and hours of work and all these things. If we overwork also, it is not good. If we do not work and spend the time lazily also, it is not good at all. It is not good. So a proper planning of the day, every day, because we have 4 meridians every day. We have the dawn and noon and mid-noon, and then the time of dusk, sunset and midnight. Like this we have 4 meridians. So our daily routine should be adjusted in between these meridians in a proper manner. It should become our natural habit to follow the rhythm. But in the beginning we have to train ourselves until it becomes a regular habit. Otherwise we get into wrong habit. What is the wrong habit? For example, keep awake until after midnight. What you are doing to keep awake? Watching the television. It's utterly useless. You keep awake until midnight and after midnight. So you will go to bed 1 p.m., 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. What you are doing is watching television. Falling, throwing your body into a sofa with a remote and before the television and watching all the nonsensical things, only fantasies. There is no truth at all. Utterly useless. So then you cannot wake up in the morning. It is impossible. You cannot be fresh in the morning. So a person who does like this, he wakes up early morning. For him is at least 9 o'clock is early morning. Wakes up at 9 o'clock, at early morning at 9 o'clock. Half day is finished. So it is a wrong arrangement at all. So you must be the master of your body and your senses. Otherwise you will be slave of your senses and body. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Otherwise we fall. We get into slavery to our senses and body. Danger lies in physical fatigue and in the tension caused by overexerted mind. This is also another key. We should not be greedy. If we want, some persons very greedy, they want to make so many things and keep the mind busy. You cannot do so many things at a time. How is it possible? It is always good to plan to do one thing at a time. How can you do so many things at a time? If you have 2 bicycles, you can ride upon one bicycle one at a time. You cannot ride on the one leg on one bicycle, another leg on another bicycle. So we have to plan to attend to one particular work at a time. Also in the mind, not only physically, because even though physically you can do only one thing at a time, but with the mind, so many things in the mind at a time, this makes you tired. Suppose you are at the table for food. You are at the dining table. Then on one side you have your television watching, and one side you have your telephone, and on the other side you have computer. So you have to watch the telephone, you have to look at the computer and watch speaking at the phone, and you have to take the food. how stupid it is. You do one thing at a time. Especially while taking the food, your mind should be with the food. So what the health science explains is tan mana bhava. That means you focus your mind to the work which is there before you. This you have to train yourself. But most of the people, all the things come when they are at the dining table. So you spend hours and hours at dining table discussing this business or that and this. Then the food which you are taking is of no use for you. Even though very good food is kept before you, but your mind is occupied with business or with some other things. If your mind is not in a proper balance, it is explained in these hygienic sciences is, when your mind is not balanced or your mind is disturbed, don't take food, because the food you are taking at that time will not be really, it has a food value, even though it is a good food, but it cannot be assimilated. On the other hand, it will disturb you because your mind is disturbed. Yes, that is good. Yes, your mind, you can keep your mind stable by listening to a mantra, to lecture, then you cook your food. That is very good. And while eating also you can listen. And while then also, if you cannot focus your mind properly, until that time you can listen some good music or some because in the beginning of the lunch or dinner you can utter few mantras and start. That is also good. But if your mind is occupied with other things, especially do not watch television while you are eating. That is most important. That the worst thing what we do. Soft music you can listen, but a television is the dirtiest thing to watch while you are eating the food. Yes, what is your question? Yes, the food is poison. Yes. Yes. Therefore, that is the reason why you should not watch such things. When you are at the food, your mind should be focused on this. And take the food in a good mood. Also, that is also important. If you are in an angry mood, don't take food. Yeah. If you cook the food when you are angry, the food is no more, it is healthier. If you take the food when you are angry, then it is not good for you. So you should cook the food in a pleasant mood. You should eat the food in a pleasant mood. These are very important. Taking the food means not just filling the belly. Always it is said that, remember, when you are taking the food, remember, you are offering the food to the Lord consciousness. It's the spirit of offering. You take the food with the spirit of offering. That is what Master CVV also says. Master CVV and one of his main disciples, Master VPS, they were always telling, remember, when you take the food, don't think that you are taking the food only to fill your stomach. Remember that the food is an offering to the Lord in you. With this spirit, you have to take the food. So while taking the food, if you speak so many dirty things, or if you have hard discussions with somebody, disharmony, then it is not good. Better to avoid food at that time. So there is no hurry, no need to emphasize speed in life. In our attending to our daily work and daily duty, we must avoid hurry. You must do it precisely, but not hurry, because hurry belongs to the mind. This we have to remember. The hurry in your work it belongs to mind, because mind is very speedy. That is the nature of the mind. And body cannot follow that speed, because it is physical, it is mental. You see? How these two can go together? Impossible. Because if you have to travel from here to Hyderabad, with your body it takes some hours to travel. With your mind, immediately you are in Hyderabad. Not only Hyderabad, anywhere. You can be in Russia immediately. You can be in Switzerland immediately with your mind. Mind is so fast. So how can you cope up mind with body? So you should not allow your mind to hurry yourself. It is not good also to be lazy, but at the same time not in a hurry. There is no hurry, no need to emphasize speed in life. Get adequate sleep. Sleep recharges the tired body and fits it into the next day's work. Those with a frail and delicate physique must not force it to overactive activity and hard work, or subject it to rapid and frequent change, because some people have a delicate constitution. So people having delicate constitution should not delicate constitution. Those who could not withstand heat, could not withstand cold, even little things they cannot withstand. So such people, their body cannot withstand any changes also. So quick changes they cannot. Of course, when you are old, that is different. But even when young also, some people, some constitutions are fragile, delicate. So you must, sapata, always fragile. Use discrimination in the expenditure of energy. Use discrimination in the expenditure of energy. Know your capacity for any one day and do not exceed it. So we have to know we can know our capacity. The capacity in work and the capacity in taking food. So in everything we must know the limitation and should not force ourselves to exceed these limitations. That is the first thing. Otherwise we will damage ourselves. Exertion should step at the first indication of undue strain. Your body should not feel the exertion. Like that you have to plan. It should be active. The body should be active. The body should be active. You should be active, but not busy. This is one thing which we have to make a discrimination. In our daily life, we must be active, but never to be busy. What is the difference? In the modern society, in the modern living, we are more busy, always busy. If you ask me that can we do some service or some good work or something, oh, I am so busy, I have no time. What is busy? What is active? When your body should be active. If body is inactive and mind is overactive, then it is busy. That is what is called busy. Body is inactive, you don't want to move your body, but mind, that is busy. When you are making a travel, when you are traveling also, you let your body travel and try to keep your mind tranquil by prescribing something to the mind. Then you are not busy, you are not in tension. Otherwise what happens? Every moment your mind, suppose you want to reach Srisalem to take part in this program, and you started from Russia. I have to reach Srisalem, how you will reach Srisalem, but it takes time. All this time if your mind says, Srisalem, how can I reach Srisalem? In how many hours I can reach Srisalem? You reserve your ticket and you plan your program and do the work what you have to do now. But you will not do your work. How it will be the program in Srisalem? How I will reach Srisalem? Still you are at your place. So mentally, before you reach physically, mentally 100 times, million times you will go and come back. This makes you tired. We get tired quickly because of this mental activity. So you have to keep active by the body and try to keep your mind tranquil. Mind can be tranquil only when you keep it engaged in some good work. Otherwise it cannot be tranquil. You have to prescribe a good work always. Otherwise your mind will be like a devil. It will not let you calm. I have to do this, I have to do that. When we are here, when I am here, if I think what I have to do in Visakhapatnam, what can I do? It is stupid. So what if there is something to do at Visakhapatnam, let it be like you can arrange like that. You are here. So what we have to do is what we have to do here. If I keep thinking at Visakhapatnam I should have done this, another foolish thing. Many times what we do, we start thinking of something which we should not have, which we could not do, and then we think I should have done like this. But you have not done like this. You have not done, but you think that I should have done. So these things we have to change. So should not make ourselves busy. Prevent your efficiency being impaired by taking adequate care and right action in all circumstances. You must plan, your action should be a right action. A right action is important. Also seek those surroundings which will enable you to work with the greatest facility, free from disturbing environmental condition. So this also we have to arrange. If you want to have a proper work, you should select also such circumstances where the environmental conditions are free from disturbance. The penalty for not doing so works out in lack of power in service and in growing incapacity of the physical body. Because if you do not plan like this, the physical body can lose its capacity gradually. That is what happens. After the age of 55, much of the life is occupied with the process of keeping in such physical condition that there may be the accomplishment of one's duties. So we have to also know about the natural, because naturally when we are advancing in our age, these are also important things which we have to remember. In terms of food, in terms of work, in terms of sex and all these things, we must keep in mind about the age of our body also. Otherwise we always think and do foolish things. If I was able to eat so much and digest when I was in my 20s, that is okay. But now you have crossed 60. If you think, oh, I could digest all these things, but you cannot digest now because you are advanced in age. So you have to know the limitation. I could work without rest for many days. Okay, that was when in your early age, when you were before 50. But now you must consider about these things and just make a regular. You can now also you can work, but regulate. Similarly with sex also. Many people have so many fantasies. I have seen in every country, either in India or in the West, everywhere. I come across because patients come to us and they ask, I want some medicine for increase my sexual power. And the fellow who is asking is 70 years fellow. Stupid. I give medicine to change his mind to normal condition. It is abnormal. Yes. 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 That is Atlantean idea. That is an Atlantean idea. Because it is against the law of nature. Anything which is against the law of nature, against the cosmic law, is Atlantean nature. So those are Atlantean doctors who advise like that. Because there is a cosmic phenomenon, cosmic law is there. We cannot go against the cosmic law. Biologically and according to these laws, there is certain age prescribed for that very clearly. We have to know that. There is no need. It is a need and this need is finished. No need for that. Those fellows who are mentally involved in this, they will tell like that. That you have to, for the whole life you have to continue. That is nonsense. So, after the age of 55, much of the life is occupied with the process of keeping in such physical condition that there may be the accomplishment of one's duties. A life of dynamic usefulness is conducive to good health. Keep occupied on all planes. So you can keep yourself active. That is always good. The body gets old rapidly where there is no free flow of emotional and mental life and one has settled into groove. The condition of the body is the first, last and all the time effects of inner predisposing causes. This is important. The predisposing causes are there inside us. They influence the condition of the body. The causes are not external. Once again, here also it is given. The condition of the body is the first, last and all-time effects of the inner predisposing causes. So the causes are inside. The physical system is brought automatically into conditioning by right living, high thinking and living actively. Three things. One is right living, living in a proper manner. Right living, high thinking, and living actively, not busy. Not living busily but actively. These virtues may seem dull and uninteresting, but they are most potent and scientifically effective. To follow the virtues, it appears not so interesting. But scientifically, first point is right living. So, bodily health is closely connected with the expression of idealism, with the free, unimpeded flow of the spiritual life force. So the real force is spiritual force. The life force is spiritual force. So that should be allowed to flow without interruption. This is most important. The body will function correctly when one is beginning to function as a spiritual being and is living. Spiritual means live as spirit, not only as body. Not identified with body, but live as spirit. And remember, body is an instrument. And remember, we have to make proper use of the instrument. Then, till the end, we can live in a very happy manner, happy experience. And is living successfully the life of right relations with self, man and God. Life of right relations with self, man and God. This is very important. So, our living we should remember our living is as spirit. Essentially, our real nature is, our real existence is as spirit. Then we can make use of these instruments, because these are given to us to make proper use. Our body is a wonderful instrument. So this is what is given, and then it enters into next topic which we take. This is a notes which we made when Master was giving about various years, because I think from many books, from many higher books, Master was giving us a law. This he called laws of right relationship. Here it is explained about the problem of modern psychology. Yeah, the problem of modern psychology, because psychology is also used to know about mind and how to deal, but for modern psychology there is much problem with the modern psychology. He is explaining that. Though the psychologists have an amazing knowledge of man, they fail because they do not consider man as a whole, as body and soul. This is the first problem. So when you study psychology, then you forget that it is a totality of soul and body. That is why they fail. What is the real man in us? Soul is the real man. The soul, the real man, is not known. In the modern psychology, there is no mention about soul. Only mind, emotion, all these things. But when you do not consider about the soul, then it is as good as studying about a dead body. If you want to study a human being without soul, studying soul without knowing soul, that means it is like a corpse. They deal only with the form aspect. That is why they cannot bring any solution. Yes. Only what they can see perceive with the eye. That is the only. Beyond this, they cannot. That is why they have no mention and no explanation about soul, which is without soul. If you take only the body, it's of no use. Yeah. Because body is only expression of the soul. Body, what we call the structure or form, is only the resultant of what is happening on the final level of the working of energies. So as I told you other day, it is like a tent. If you do not know anything about the ropes, about the engineering, about the structure and all this, if you see the tent only, if you think that tent is the ultimate, it is not ultimate, because it is only a shape kept like that because of these forces of energy. So without knowing this, if you only speak of structure, then you can know. That is what he says. The soul, the real man, is not known by the psychology. Not recognized and not explained or not dealt with in any way. And man's origin and his goal also remain largely unconsidered in modern psychology. Man's origin and the goal remains unconsidered. So therefore the study of modern psychology, okay, you can study this, no problem, but it cannot give a real explanation to the real existence and cannot give you a solution. As regards recognizing the fact of the soul, psychologists suffer from inhibition. Psychologists suffer from inhibition because about soul they have no idea. Their problem is to comprehend that the self and the soul are one and the same. What you call self is soul. This they cannot understand. And in modern psychology, there is no understanding of the supra-conscious level. They only explain about you conscious and subconscious. But what about supra-conscious? Yeah. All the higher functions, all the higher things are supra-conscious, not subconscious.
They have also the tendency to concentrate on the disturbances
Yeah,
and not on the quality.
not on the qualities. That is the problem. Their problem is to comprehend that the self and the soul are one and the same. Unless this key idea is interjected into the whole field of psychological thought, it will fail of its own weight. So that is the failure of modern psychology is because of this. The soul's effect upon the personality is the real subjective cause of man's temperament and varied reactions. This is very important. This you have to remember very clearly. Soul's effect. Upon the personality of the soul's effect upon the personality is the real subjective cause. Of man's temperament. Of man's temperament and varied reactions. So this we have to remember. The soul's effect upon the personality is the real subjective cause of man's temperament and varied reactions. This is not known to the modern psychology. That is the problem. There is a spiritual psychology undistinguished from mental and emotional psychology. When these two knowledges are brought intelligently together, we shall evolve a true, more accurate psychology. So the modern psychology needs to be merged or to be taken connected to the spiritual psychology. Without spiritual psychology, the modern psychology is of no use.
The people must actually get it.
Yeah, yes.
As long as people know if this is nonsense.
Yes. The close study by the psychologists of the abnormal and the subnormal, the conscious and the subconscious, has been overemphasized, and due attention has not been given to the supernormal and superconscious states. That is what I was telling. Always in normal psychology, they give emphasis on subconscious, and conscious states. So they explain about normal, abnormal, and subnormal. So whatever is, suppose when you receive a higher experience, when you get a higher experience when you receive, then if you ask a psychologist, then he say it is subnormal experience. It is not subnormal. It is a subconscious experience. It is not subconscious experience. It is supra-conscious. This supra-conscious is not known to the modern psychology. Their work has to be accounted for and explained, but for such people, the psychologist has no adequate explanation. What happens on the supraconscious, the normal psychology has no idea, so they cannot explain this phenomenon. The expression of the soul in some creative activity gives the clue to the understanding of the problem and question of genius. So, a real solution for the problem can be possible only when you take it from because it is the expression from the soul. Our life is the expression of the soul. Unless you understand this, how can you get a solution? Through the study of genius and the study of telepathy, prevision and other powers in man, psychology will eventually arrive at a recognition of the soul. So, these inherent powers, they can be understood and made proper use of only when you study spiritual psychology. That is what is. Without that, the psychology is only very incomplete and is of no use. What are the roots of human psychology? What are the roots? The roots of human psychology lie hidden in the fact that man is a soul occupying an animal body. What is man? Man is a soul.
This is correct because very often the people think they have a soul.
Yeah. If you say, I have a body, it is right. If you say, I have senses, it is right. If you say, I have mind, it is right. If you say, I have intelligence, it is right. If you say, I have a soul, it is wrong. I am this soul, not I have. That is where the normal psychology cannot discriminate. Our real existence is as a soul, every one of us. So you should not say, I have a soul, wrong. I am the soul. This is the key for that. So, soul, the roots of human psychology lie hidden in the fact that man is a soul. Man is a soul occupying animal body, a union of spiritual and physical life. So spiritual and physical life are together arranged in the form of a human being. He is essentially spiritual entity. This we have to remember. The human being is essentially a spiritual entity. So it is not just the structure or the form. Form is the outermost of our real existence. Spiritual entity different in nature and objectives from the body which he temporarily occupies. So our existence in the form is temporary. This we have to remember. This is not permanent. Our permanent existence is as soul. Soul is our real existence. Body is only temporary. For example, just like how every day we wear a dress, I wear a shirt, and after wearing the shirt, if I say, I means I am this shirt, you are not the shirt. Shirt is only temporary. You wear for some time and change it. You may wear 1 or 2 days and then change it and take another shirt. Suppose your shirt is torn. No fool will continue to wear even the torn away shirt, only except few fellows in the modern dressing where you have all the torn pieces and all these things wearing. The very freak things in fashion and all these things, specially made holes and torn things is for fashion. And I don't understand what this fashion is. But when a cloth is torn, you leave a new, you take a cloth that is full. So the body is also like this shirt, but only conscious. So if you think you are the body, that means you are thinking that you are your shirt, you are your shoe. You are wearing a shoe. And if you get identified with the shoe, I am my shoe. Shoe is worn by you, the shoe is not yourself. So also body. Body is not yourself. Body is temporary. The clothes we change in a few days, and the body we change in few years. That's the only thing. There is nothing to be afraid of it. If somebody wants not to leave the body, it is as if somebody who does not want to take away the clothes which are dirty or torn. If your body is withered away, still you want to live in the same body even though it is with disease, withered and all these things. That means attachment to the form aspect, identifying. When you get identified with the form, so it is this fact that is the cause of man's special problems. His consciousness fluctuates between these opposites, soul and body, because that is the finest level of consciousness. This is the grossest level of consciousness. So always there's in between these two, his consciousness fluctuates between these opposites, and he becomes a battleground, a battlefield. Battlefield. It is the welfare between these two great antagonistic forces which had led to all the neuroses and complexes. Because of lack of understanding of the relationship of these two opposite ends, soul and the body. These are the two opposite ends of the same entity, the same person. But since this relationship is not understood in a synthetic manner, therefore the whole life is like a battlefield. For a person who is not informed of this relationship of soul and body, For such a person, life is always field of problems and battlefield. So the problem lies in his ignorance about this relationship. The tragedy, the problem, and the glory of man is that he recognizes his relationship to both soul and body. It is this which makes of mankind a prodigal son, violently turned between desire and worldly life, for the worldly life, for possessions and experience, and the inherent urge to reach out after divinity, because there is always the struggle is between these two aspects. We want to experience happiness, but how? Everybody essentially want to be happy, but how? Because you want to have all these physical things to hold, in the worldly things. You can make use of it, but at the same time you should not get identified with this. That is the problem. Body is given to us as a wonderful instrument to make use of this. Suppose if you have given me a tablet, a computer, a small computer, ordinator. So you have given me this. So it is good, we can make use of this. For example, I got a tablet and I have all the materia medica and all these things, all the books of master, all the books of. So whenever I want to read, I can read. That is a good advantage, because you cannot carry all the books with you all the time. That is not possible. That is not practical. So you have all the books. But with the same thing, you can make a fool of you by sitting before this with all nonsensical things, fantasies and all these things, with the internet. You should not get enslaved with these things. They should be under your control. You can make use of it. But if you become slave, if you feel that you cannot, suppose one day there is no internet. Oh, there is no internet. You will not die for that due to this. Before the internet came, we were living. The internet is there. Inside, there is a wonderful network inside. This network is not superior to this network. We should not become slaves of that. If mobile is not there, oh, mobile is not there, what happens? You are mobile. You are able to move. Yeah. I don't feel that. Now we are in the classes. I switch on my mobile only when there is in between and see if I have to help somebody. That's all. Otherwise, I switch it off. What happens? Oh, what happens if your mobile is switched? Nothing happens. If somebody calls to you, it is switched off. He says, okay, he is switched off. Let us do our work. Nobody will wait for us. It is too much for us to think that we should keep all these things in. No, they are for us. We have to remember that these are for us. We are not for them. Similarly, our body also. Same thing with the body also, with all our faculties, with the body.
And the money system.
And the money system. Money for the humans. Exactly opposite.
Therefore, we are slaves for the money.
We are manipulated. We are manipulated by money, we are manipulated by all these instruments because of this crazy idea that, because we are controlled by them, you see.
And they have the modern equipment.
Yes, equipment. If somebody thinks, if I have no bike, I cannot go out of my home, it's foolish. You can walk, you have your own instrument, you can walk. You can make use of a bike if it is available. If there is no bike also, I cannot go out because I have no bike. As if he has no legs. You have your legs. And so like this, dependency on other external agencies. See how we make hell of our life. Yeah. The tragedy, the problem, and the problem, the glory of man is that he recognizes the relationship to both soul and body. It is this which makes of mankind prodigal son, violently turn between desire for the worldly life. We can use these things as a need when there is needed. So need, you can attend to the need, but not to the desire. Suppose I want to protect my feet, so you can have some socks or some shoe. But if I say, I want to have a shoe made of gold, nonsense. Even normal shoe also can protect your feet. Why should you think I should have a shoe made with gold? What will you do? If you are hungry, you have fruits or some food. I want some food made of gold. Can you eat gold? If you eat gold, then you will die. When you are hungry, Master used to always give an example. Somebody, because what we generally do is, we cannot distinguish between useful things and valuable things and costly things. Suppose there is a heap of gold in a room, and you are locked in this room for one full day without food and drink. Imagine, if you are hungry, what can you do with these pieces of gold? Gold is very, very costly, it's very valuable. It's not valuable. When you are thirsty, what can you do with the gold? A glass of water is more valuable than the biscuits of gold. If you have ornaments of gold, but when there is no water to drink, what can you do? You will die. So what is valuable and what is expensive? Expensive is not valuable. It is not the expense, it is not in terms of money, it is its utility. This we have to remember. So, it is this which makes of mankind. So, it is for violently between desire for the worldly life, for possessions and experience, and the inherent urge to reach out after divinity, to return to that home from which he came. So, there is always an internally, for every being, especially for the human being, there is really a desire for liberation, for freedom. But you don't know what real freedom is. In the name of freedom, you are getting more and more buried deep into these worldly things. It is not freedom. You see? In the name of freedom, if you get away from home in search of so many things, searching and searching the whole life, finding nothing, the fulfillment of these dual desires is the ABC of true psychology. So the persistent fight between man's spiritual aspirants on one side there are spiritual aspirations. And on the other side, material desires.